Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so very much for scheduling this for markup. We're working pretty hard around here about alleviating the national housing crisis, and it is a crisis. And as we proceed, it's incumbent upon us, I think, to pay particular need to those who are being hardest hit. And to say the least, the rate of homelessness among Native Americans living on tribal lands is alarmingly high. In fact, we have data for this. HUD commissioned a study and found that between 42,000 and 85,000 Native Americans living on tribal lands were homeless. So to put that in perspective, that's several times, you heard that correctly, several times the number of people who are homeless in San Francisco and Seattle combined. And both cities are known, unfortunately, for having significant homeless populations. Another part of homelessness is overcrowding. So homelessness on tribal lands often leads to families doubling up with neighbors. 16% of Native Americans in Alaska Native households experience overcrowding. And to put that in perspective, that's compared to only 2% of all households in the United States. And here's the thing about homelessness and overcrowding that we all know intuitively, but it behooves us to be reminded of it. When you're homeless or when you're in an overcrowded circumstance, it makes it that much more difficult, if not impossible, to find a meaningful job or to go to school or to otherwise engage in the community. It prevents us from being able to deal with whatever other issues are in their lives. The data is clear. We've got a problem, and it's a big problem. So I would also say that, for my part, I believe one of the most important duties I have as a member of Congress is ensuring the sovereignty of the 4 tribes in my district and the 29 tribes in my state, and to help them as they work to help their tribal members on a range of issues, notably today, including combating homelessness. In fact, this is all our responsibility. This is our federal trust responsibility. And that's why we've introduced the Tribal Access to Homeless Assistance Act. Despite the prevalence of homelessness in Indian country, tribes and tribal designated housing entities are unable to access the homeless assistance grants offered by HUD, including HUD's Continuum of Care. And the bill would fix that. By establishing tribal eligibility to compete for HUD McKinney-Vento Continuum of Care grants, the bill would improve tribes' ability to effectively combat homelessness and potentially help tens of thousands of people in Indian country. Finally, I want to conclude by thanking the bipartisan co-sponsors of this legislation. Not on committee would include Congressman Young and Congressman Scott. On committee, Congressman Cleaver and Congresswoman Wexton. And I want to make special note of extending my appreciation to the soon-to-be departing Congressman Duffy, with whom I've had the privilege to work on a number of issues over a period of time. I am so very sorry he's also not here to hear these remarks, because I've enjoyed working with him on this, on some insurance legislation, and when he wasn't screaming at representatives of the Obama administration, it's been a pure delight. And I wish him well into his future, and I thank him and all the other co-sponsors of this legislation. And with that, I urge all my colleagues to support H.R. 4209, and I thank you again, Madam Chair, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The question now occurs on ordering H.R. 4029 as amended to be reported favorably to the House. All those in favor of approving H.R. 4029 as amended, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. In the opinion of the Chair, the ayes have it, and H.R. 4029 as amended is reported favorably to the House.